The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Thank you for joining us once again here on FRC Media. We are ever so closer to the November 7th municipal election, and we're speaking to as many candidates as possible so you can make informed choices when you go to the ballot box on that day. I'm pleased to be joined today by one of the candidates looking to now get back to the Fall River School Committee, former school committee member Tom Khoury. Tom, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here with you, Keith, this morning.
So you were once a school committee member. Was it 2 terms, 3 terms?
2 terms.
2 terms. This last cycle in 2021, you decided not to run, and now you're back. So let me ask you, why did you decide then not to run, and why are you back?
Keith, when I ran for the first time, everything seemed to be working out very, very well. Then all of a sudden, COVID hit. I have to tell you that from a psychological perspective, when COVID overcame all of society, there was some type of hysteria behind it, with all of the people not being able to handle the current status of how COVID affected all of our decision making, policy making, and forward progress. So I'm not even afraid to tell you that it got really, really crazy, especially on the school committee level, when the Superintendent Malone issue was alive, and I believe that COVID played into that hysteria and created a lot of unbalance in that entire issue. That issue was not clean. It was not cleaned up. It was messy. It created a lot of division within the community here in Fall River. And that's not what I signed up for, to be on school committee. I wasn't prepared for that. And at the same time, my family was worried about me and my personal health. So those were some of the major factors as to why I said, I don't think I need this, so I stepped aside.
Okay.
Once I stepped aside, I never lost focus of the proceedings of the community, whether it be on the municipal level or the school side, only because I've always been tied in as a career educator. My hallmark as an educator was bringing my programs to the community and civic interplay with all of the agencies in the community. And so these are people I consider teammates. And so once I stepped aside, I felt like I was on the sidelines again, and there was a void. And I realized that I can do this job well. So I pleaded with my wife, who was fairly resistant, and my children, who were also resistant. But I let them know that really I had this flame inside of me that I really needed to work out again. Yeah. So here I am.
Yeah. We'll get into a couple of specifics, but let me just ask you in general, do you feel that the school department is in a better place than it was 2 years ago? And is that part of why you want to be part of that again, that moving forward, the progress that had been made in the past?
As a retired school counselor, I learned the importance of behavioral psychology. And behavioral psychology plays into all of our career decisions, all of our policy making, all of the relationships that we make along the way to make things happen and create activity and action. I realized that the behavioral psychology during COVID was so messy. And once we limited Superintendent Malone's term and hired Maria Ponce as school superintendent, then I realized that there was some major stability, over the school department at that point, because I'm extremely proud of the leadership in our school department now, because Superintendent Ponce, Assistant Superintendent Tracy Curley, Assistant Superintendent Amy Bronhard, School Principal Matt Damaris at Durfee High School are all products of the Fall River Public Schools and began their careers here in Fall River in Fall River and not elsewhere. So these are people who know Fall River, love Fall River, and my former colleagues who I am eager to work with again.
We're recording this following a school committee forum that we held here just a few days ago with all the candidates. One of the things that has been a boon to the district, and you actually saw it toward the end of your term in 2021, was the infusion of funds primarily from the Student Opportunity Act, and how that has made an impact in terms of some inequities in terms of financing education in Fall River. How did you foresee that then, and how do you foresee, as if you are able to return to the committee, how to work with the superintendent to make sure that those dollars are spent efficiently and effectively? Because just throwing money at a problem, we all know, doesn't necessarily mean the results will be there.
A lot of the problems that arise use data to determine where the priorities lie. And with my deep relationship with Maria Ponce at the colleague level, I have an open and honest discussion with her, and she has the right to fend me off, and I have the right to fend her off. And it's all done in fairness, and it's all done in collegiality. So as far as I'm concerned, being able to have that level of discussion with the leadership in the school side really puts the school committee in a better position to make better choices and decisions. I'm very proud of the Student Opportunity Act. Some will cite the negativity of it, and there's only one negative aspect, is that it increases the city side support financially, because it increases the school's net worth. So the city side has to come up with probably, I think, a little bit more than $1 million to help support it. That's a really small sum for the amount of money we're getting in the Student Opportunity Act, which I was one of the main advocates for, along with bridging the Fall River Educators Association president, the union president, Rebecca Cusick, and then Superintendent Matt Malone. And Matt Malone's name sometimes is raised as a pariah in our community. However, we can't forget that Matt Malone was the education secretary under Governor Deval Patrick. And because of his position statewide there, he carried a lot of clout statewide, and he was a huge proponent for the SOA and helped us navigate ways in which to advocate for it and then eventually get it. In the Fall River delegation was absolutely the loudest in the MTA delegation to get this SOA passed, and we got it done, and I'm really proud of that.
There's been a lot of talk about the number of positions, needed positions within the school department. There's money there for that now. It appears, though, that is I see the social media posts all the time about the school department. Are you interested to work in Fall River?
Yes.
It looks like that's an issue, filling those positions. Why do you think that is?
Yes, I'm not going to use COVID as an excuse, but behaviorally it changed the landscape, and schools across the Commonwealth are also suffering this crisis of mass exiting. I don't know that education carries the novel feeling that it used to always have. I remember when I got my degree to become a school teacher, I remember it being a very noble decision, and I had a great career. I spent 33 years in the Fall River schools and enjoyed every moment of it. That being said, I'm not so sure the kids coming out of college today look at certain districts, they look at demographics, they look at pay raises, they look at so many other conditions. I would propose an out-of-the-box idea like a TIF agreement for a young educator coming out of Bridgewater, coming out of Roger Williams, coming out of Rhode Island College, coming out of UMass Dartmouth. I would propose a TIF agreement that if you could give us 5 years, 6 years, definite, we'll help you with your rents, we'll set you up in rent subsidies, but give us 5 or 6 strong years to stay committed to the Fall River Public Schools, because it's in those connections that young students build with school teachers that really help education along. Again, that behavioral piece, that emotional connection between a teacher and a student is crucial. If we can establish something like that, who knows, maybe we'll turn the corner.
Another issue that was brought up at the forum that's been an issue in Fall River, probably when we were both in school, is the issue of absenteeism, chronic absenteeism.
Yes.
It continues to be a problem. I know that was talked about at the forum the other day. Just reiterate your thoughts on it and how the district can do better.
My thoughts are very clear on it. As a lifelong resident of Fall River, I grew up in the Flint neighborhood, and in the Flint neighborhood alone, there was the Watson School, the Coughlin School, the DeVault School, the Aldrich School, and the Davis School. 5 schools in a small neighborhood that was so easy to walk to and access. When the 1990s approached, the state gave our city an opportunity to shut down some of the older schools which had infrastructure issues and to create these larger schools. Now, these larger schools are all very awesome buildings. I've worked in many of them. They're great buildings. The problem is, if you look at the city's demographic map, there are so many points within those demographics that become difficult for a child to wake up in the morning and meet a bus route. And I served on the attendance task force in my former 2 terms, and we were all scratching our heads all the time, but we looked at that demographic map and we kind of understood why attendance is a chronic issue today. It's going to take money, because it's going to take some alternative methods, private vans, better bus routes. A consultative study, I think, may help us to try to figure that out in a better way.
Tom Khoury, candidate for school committee, looking to get back. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and good luck.
Thank you for FRC Media, Keith, and all that you do to present the candidates to the community so that the voters can make a better choice moving forward.
It's our pleasure. Thank you. And thank you for joining us here at FRC Media, and please make a point to vote on Tuesday, November 7th.